Chapter 14. Life was full of its little ups and downs. The press did have this thing about the Batman, and Batman had stolen Viki Vale right from under the Joker's white nose. But now he had Viki back again, just the way he wanted. And he had managed to bump off one of her suitors in the bargain, although that Bruce Wayne was an awfully easy kill. Didn't the man have any fight in him? Still, it was reasonably satisfying the way the force of the bullet threw Wayne against the wall. The Joker had to admit. He so enjoyed a violent death. He left the apartment, careful to close the door behind him, and hurried down the stairs. The boys had already gotten Viki into the van. The Joker leapt in after them. "Gotham Square," he cheered. "Lucky split." It was amazing how good a killing could make you feel. The Joker guffawed. From now on, there would be no more downs, only ups for all of Gotham City. Bruce blinked. He had passed out there for a minute. The force of the bullet must have knocked him cold. He sat up and examined his side. There was no blood, no bullet hole. He picked up his zipper bag, his shoulder bag. There it was, a new hole, just 2 inches from the zipper. The bullet must have gone through here. He opened his bag. The bullet had hit the utility belt and banged itself into the ultrasound scanner. The scanner was ruined, but he had a couple of replacements back at the Batcave. It had done more than its intended job. Thanks to the scanner, he was still alive. He was still alive. The Joker's bullet hitting the utility belt. More than that, the exact right spot on the utility belt. Some people would think that was incredible luck, but he liked to think of it as justice. His hands moved along the utility belt until he reached the digital pad. His fingers quickly punched the number. Red lights flashed, followed by a beep. The connection was made, but he couldn't wait, even for that. He got to his feet. He couldn't start after the Joker like this, but where would Viki keep something he could use? He ran into the bedroom and rifled quickly through the closet shelves. Nothing was opaque enough until he found the black ski mask. It would have to do. He left Viki's apartment and headed for the roof. The van was going too fast even for him. How could you be suave and sophisticated around a beautiful woman when you kept bouncing out of your seat? He reached forward and grabbed Bob's shoulder, good old Bob, and yelled in his ear, "Slow down, you maniac!" Good old Bob seemed to be losing it. The Joker could feel it too. It was getting weird here in the metropolis. Heck, last time he looked out the back window, he could have sworn he saw a guy in a suit and a black ski mask swooping over the intersection on a rope. Was Gotham City going crazy? The Joker certainly hoped so. Bob slowed the van to a respectable 40 or 50 miles an hour. Good old Bob. A quite reasonable rate to traverse Gotham traffic. It finally gave the Joker a chance to place one of his very refined hands on one of Miss Vale's delicate kneecaps. She tried to move away, but the van was too cramped for her to go much of anywhere. Another of the Joker's keys to successful romance, he thought pleasantly. Always cornering your romantic interest. "I'm a little high-strung," he said mournfully, pitifully, really. Exactly the sort of tone to appeal to the sympathies of a young woman. "You know, I've recently had tragedy in my life. Day before yesterday, Alicia... His voice cracked emotionally. Joker had to admit it was a very nice effect. Alicia hurled herself out the window. She just couldn't adjust to my new aesthetic. He handed Viki Alicia's porcelain mask, now defaced to an ugly crack. Joker shrugged. But you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs. Viki looked horrified. Maybe, the Joker reflected, after they left the van, he should trap her in an even smaller space. He grinned at her anyway. Just call him a romantic fool. The Joker's van was down below. It had sped from traffic jam to traffic jam. So far, with the aid of his utility belt and some quick runs across rooftops, he had managed to keep the van in sight. Sometimes you could keep up with the scum if gridlock was on your side. The van swerved around a mad policeman. The horse turned around. The cop riding it seemed to have no control over his mount. He swayed back and forth in the saddle and looked around as if he was having trouble keeping the world in focus. Batman had seen other cops like this since he started to chase the Joker. And still other policemen who were out cold. It was the Joker's doing, of course. But what would the Joker do when he had immobilized all of Gotham's finest? Batman would have to worry about that when he discovered the Joker's plans, but the villain's van had hit a relatively uncongested stretch of road and was increasing the distance between them. And there was a cop here about to fall off his horse and possibly hurt himself. There was only one thing to do. Batman landed on the back of the horse. The cop turned to look at him slowly and without surprise, as if having somebody land on the back of your horse was an everyday occurrence. He smiled sadly and shook his head as he massaged his throat. His eyes slid closed. The cop passed out, the smile still on his face. He started to fall. Batman caught him and eased him from his horse, making sure the cop landed on the sidewalk. It wouldn't do any good to have people sleeping in the street. Batman glanced at the utility belt, which had tightened around his suit and at the waist. The red light was blinking. Good. Maybe things would be in order again very shortly. He urged the horse forward. He had a van to catch. He finally saw the van ahead. He had to ride almost all the way to Gotham Square to catch up. The Joker's van screeched to a halt a block and a half away, almost colliding with the barricades. Barricades? He had forgotten. Today was the day of the mayor's big parade. The 200th anniversary of Gotham City. Could that have something to do with the Joker's plans? His horse reared as more brakes screamed behind him. He looked around and saw the yellow Volkswagen. Good. Alfred's timing, as usual, was impeccable. He smiled and quickly climbed into the passenger seat. Alfred handed him one of his spare costumes. He immediately started to change. It was a little cramped in here, but he had practiced this maneuver dozens of times for this eventuality. Alfred, he said after he had taken off his ski mask. Find the records of my family. I want to check something. Yes, sir, Alfred replied. Be careful. He nodded as he climbed back out of the Volkswagen, once again clothed as he should be as the Batman. He jumped on his horse and rode to Gotham Square. The junior high school band was playing Happy Birthday. They weren't playing it very well, of course, which made it even better. Both of those red, white, and blue birthday banners flapping overhead. And then the mayor standing pompously up there on his pompous revealing stand, along with those other pillars of the community, Dent and Gordon. The mayor started to speak, in that way only the mayor could. Happy birthday, Gotham City. You know every city has a father, and no one could have been a better father than John T. Gotham. This was just too good. It was time to get out of the van and join the festivities. The mayor went on, in that way the mayor did, all about the wonderful attributes he imagined Gotham City had. Joker made sure that Bob brought Viki along. After all the inconvenience they put her through, he didn't want her to miss all the fun. The Joker and his boys pushed their way through the crowd. The mayor waved his flabby hands at the canvas-covered statue at the platform side. I dedicate this statue, the mayor continued, in that continuing way of his, of a man who embodies the past, present, and future of our great city. Could this be any more perfect? The Joker almost wished he could make some noise, but he wouldn't want to distract anyone from the ceremonies. The mayor pulled the cord. The canvas dropped away. What? Imagine the Joker's surprise. It wasn't a statue of John T. Gotham after all. No, this statue's subject was much more handsome. Well, actually, the Joker had no idea at all what John T. Gotham looked like, and what's more, he didn't really care. Not when you had a magnificent statue like that to look at. There it was, in the finest Gothic, postmodern, neo-realistic, expressionistic style, the Joker, waving a lovely pair of Uzis just like they were 6-shooters. What a sense of style, what finesse! Here was a piece of art that really spoke to you. The Joker couldn't have been more prouder if he'd sculpted the thing himself, which, after all, he had. He turned to Viki. Good Bob had made sure she was holding her camera. Start shooting, my sweet! Joker yelled as he took the stage. I'm making history! Sorry. He waved apologetically to the crowd as he stepped up next to the mayor. No autographs. The mayor appeared less than pleased to see him. Maybe it was because the Joker had switched the statues, or maybe it was because the Joker was holding a real Uzi pointed at the mayor's belly. Whatever his problem was, the mayor just didn't want to give the Joker the microphone. The Joker had to take the mic for himself. Call the police! The normally verbose mayor seemed to have lost his way with words. Perhaps the Joker could help him along. What police? He asked sweetly. He waved at the policeman, unconscious on the sidewalk, and more policemen, equally unconscious on the grass, and even more policemen completely out cold at the base of the statue. The mayor stared goggle-eyed at his entire police force lying down on the job. Poor Borg. That sort of thing seemed to take away his voice entirely. Well, someone had to pick up the slack here. Thousands, maybe tens of thousands of city dwellers had shown up for this little celebration, and the Joker wouldn't want any of them to get bored. Heavens forfend. If they left now, they'd miss the parade. The Joker smiled out over the crowd. His crowd. As their beloved mayor had said as he unveiled his handsome statue, he was the past, present, and most certainly the future of Gotham City, whether they wanted him or not. This was his moment of triumph. But triumph was no good unless he shared it with someone. He spoke into the mic. Hi there, fellow Gothamites! As the next founding father of this fair city, I declare these celebrations well and truly open. He raised his Uzi into the air and fired a quick burst of bullets in celebration. Overhead, half of the banner shook loose, riddled by bullet fire. Oh dear, clumsy, clumsy Joker. Give him a gun and see what he does. Joker laughed long and loud. Oh, this was the best time ever. But something else was going on down in the crowd. People were screaming. Oh, come on now. Don't be impatient. This isn't supposed to happen until later. And pointing up toward the roof on the far side of the square. Roof? Who did the Joker know in high places? That's when something came hissing through the air to wrap itself around the head of the statue. The Joker's statue. It looked like one of those things they used in South America. Bounco, Bilbo. It was on the tip of the Joker's tongue. Bolo. That's what they called them. May have two balls attached by a rope. Except in this case, the hissing noise was coming from the balls. That meant it had to be a bolo bomb. The crowd was screaming and running away. Just when the Joker was warming up too. And the Joker knew the creep responsible for this even before he saw him on the rooftop. It was the Batman. Now? Boy, that guy sure knew how to spoil up a party. That's when the bombs went off. Nice explosion. And when the smoke cleared, the Joker head was gone. My very face, the Joker whispered. Destroyed! He had to admit, Batman's toys had come through again. He was impressed. His boys opened fire on the Batman. The bullets didn't seem to do any good. Batman shot out a couple of those ropes he was so fond of using and swung down to the ground between them. The Joker's boys attacked Batman with their fists. He kicked them aside and headed for their boss. Whoops! The Joker decided it was time for Plan B. When the fancy stuff didn't work, he went back to the bad guy basics. Threats, violence, murder, the traditional values. The Joker grabbed the mayor.